Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
What is going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back to the Fantasy Headliners. Kyle here with today's video, talking all about average draft position. ADP is kind of starting to formulate a little bit of a picture. A lot of people out there are starting to mock draft, and that's going to help us start to see maybe where some people are looking towards in their drafts. Now, mock draft ADP and real league ADP are completely different. So mock draft ADP, for me, really to kind of break it down, it's talking about just what are some trends we see. Do we disagree or agree on some things? When we start to get in some real league ADP, when people start to draft their actual leagues here, probably another month or so, that's when things are going to play out a little bit more. But I wanted to take today's video and really kind of break down what we see now with ADP. And we're going to be using our friends over at Fantrax because once again, here in 2022, we're going to be partnering with them. So, hey, if you're looking to kickstart a league, maybe move your existing league, make sure you head over to our friends at Fantrax, create a free account, use code word headliners. Make sure you do that. And then get your league moved on over. Great support staff over there. They can help you get a lot of things moved over for free. So make sure that you do that as soon as possible to get ready for the 2022 season. But let's jump over to the ADP. Let's start to really break it down and have a discussion on whether or not we agree or disagree with some of the things we see here. Now, keep in mind, these are not my rankings. So if you comment and say, hey, Kyle, how could you possibly have someone ranked here? I don't. These aren't my rankings. These are mock draft ADP. Make sure you know that. But for the first round ADP right now, we've got ourselves, of course, Jonathan Taylor at the top. Was a little surprised that Austin Eckler was at number 2, to be honest with you. Not that I adamantly disagree with it or anything. I was just surprised. I thought we would see McCaffrey or Henry or Cook sitting all the way up here. But Austin Eckler coming in as number 2 right now in ADP did kind of catch me a little bit off guard. Not going to lie. Was not expecting that to be there, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either, especially for those of you that play in like a full PPR or a half PPR league. Cooper Kupp coming in at number 3. People are just wanting to grab Cooper Kupp. There's a big sense this year that people are wanting to kind of stay away from running backs. They take a look at the last couple of years and injuries that have happened and things of that nature, and they say to themselves, I really don't want to deal with that this year. I talked about that in a video the other day. I don't think you should be staying away from running backs. If you're really that worried about injuries, make sure you handcuff your running backs. But draft running backs at the top just as you normally would. Don't let injuries scare you off because honestly, injuries can happen at any given time. But I think when you look at Cooper Kupp being at number 3 overall, Jefferson at number 6, Adams at 9, Chase at 10. When you see these guys here in the first round, I think we're starting to see a little bit of a trend where people are really wanting to draft those wide receivers a little bit earlier, and you're going to see that even more coming up in the second round. Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. I mean, people are still on Christian McCaffrey or they're off Christian McCaffrey. There's no in between because people to themselves say, hey, if the guy stays fully healthy and I get him at number 4, I potentially got the 1.01. People are also saying, hey, if I draft him at number 4, my entire season could be ruined yet again because he doesn't make it through a full year. Derrick Henry, his ADP right now sitting at about 5.5, coming off that foot injury from last year. We did see him make it back for the playoffs. This is not the type of injury either that he had that it's like, oh, he's wearing and tearing, he's breaking down from the usage. No, that injury was more of it just happened. Freak accident. Nothing that you can do about it. So Henry, for me, especially on a team that is going to be moving to a more run-heavy offense than what we've seen in years past, because basically all their top wide receivers from the last 2 years are gone, that to me signals they're still going to be running it plenty with Derrick Henry. Justin Jefferson at number 6. I've got no slight here with Justin Jefferson. A lot of people see him as the wide receiver 2 or 3, and he's absolutely deserved that. Najee Harris up at number 7. So to see Cooper Kupp, or to see Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry go before Najee Harris, Not super surprised. I feel like there are a few people out there, though, some Najee Harris or Pittsburgh homers that are going to take Harris much higher than number 7 overall. For me, he's a little bit more towards the back of the first round, just because I've got him kind of that mid RB1 status this year. But, I mean, if the offensive line is much better and Pickett or Trubisky end up being better than what Roethlisberger were, then it could be a huge year for Najee Harris. But there's a few too many ifs for me to invest in Najee Harris before some other guys. Dalvin Cook, obviously locked into the first round, but with Dalvin Cook, you're going to be missing him for a few games. Devontae Adams at number 9. No one's worried about a drop-off from Rodgers to Carr, it looks like. Jamar Chase at number 10. Nobody's worried about some inconsistencies that we could end up seeing from him. He's going to have some huge games. He's going to have some duds. Joe Mixon at number 11. I mean, Joe Mixon being drafted after Najee Harris this far. I mean, if you're drafting Joe Mixon at the back end of the first round, congratulations to you. You got an absolute steal. So, hey, if you're drafting towards the end of the first round and you got Joe Mixon sitting there, we're smashing the draft button every single time. Javonte Williams coming in at number 12. His ADP at 13.36 right now is kind of ridiculous to me. I mean, it's just one of those things where I love Javonte Williams. Do not get me wrong. I think he is one of the next superstars at the running back position, but he's not going to be that guy with Melvin Gordon being there. And Melvin Gordon was good last year. I mean, good. Both of these guys played so well last year that if they were the only running back on their team, they both would have had massive seasons. But you've got Melvin Gordon coming back for another year, and you've got an offense put together now that is going to be able to sling it through the air. And they're going to be playing in a division where you're going to have to do that. I expect this offense to open up. I expect Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon to probably at the minimum be a 60-40 split, 60 in favor of Javonte Williams. That's not enough to put him in the first round for me right now. In the second round, Stephon Diggs, a little bit of a volume issue last year, but that's all right. Not worried about it. Still a safe bet at the wide receiver position. Deebo Samuel, a lot of people kind of pushing him back into the second round right now. I think owners would be excited to see that because I don't think anyone wants to spend a first round pick on him, but if they can get him in the second round, I think they're okay with that. Going to see a little bit of a drop off in production from a touchdown standpoint, especially because it's going to be hard to replicate those rushing touchdowns from last year, but should still be a safe bet at the wide receiver position. Travis Kelce going this high, I understand why. Obviously, losing Tyreek Hill, a lot of people feel that Travis Kelce is going to be the locked-in number 1, and it could end up being a bigger season for him. But honestly, how can he have a bigger season than the seasons that he's been having? I mean, if you're expecting some crazy jump in production, I think you're probably a little too enthusiastic at this point about Travis Kelce. For me, spending a top second-round pick on Travis Kelce when I still got some other top guys on the board is a little too spicy for me. I'd rather get somebody a little bit later on. Tyreek Hill, the new Diggs there, out in Miami. People still view him as a top second round pick. I'm surprised that he's not a little bit lower just because people are worried about Tua and Jalen Waddle at this point. Tua obviously not having what it takes to get the ball to him consistently, and Jalen Waddle being there and taking away some of what Hill could be getting. So for me, with Tyreek Hill, I don't mind this position. I think it's very even keel in terms of the value of his season coming up. DeAndre Swift at number 17. Love DeAndre Swift. I just don't know, number 1, can he stay on the field for an entire season? And number 2, is he really going to be able to put together the type of volume that we need in that offense? Alvin Kamara at number 18. Really, right now, I think Alvin Kamara being pushed down by pending legal troubles. If we knew a little bit more about that, he might be higher up, but right now he's dropping into the second round. Mark Andrews at number 19, the tight end 1 for a lot of people. For a lot of people going into drafts this year. At the very worst case scenario, you're looking at tight end 2 or 3. Seeing that Travis Kelce is going at the top of the second, when he goes off the board, Mark Andrews will probably be pretty quick to follow. Nick Chubb, you can get this guy mid to late second round, and I absolutely love it. Let the ADP stay there. Just imagine yourself drafting towards the end of the first round and getting Joe Mixon, then the beginning of the second round and getting Nick Chubb. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, you've gotten off to a great start at that point. CeeDee Lamb at 21. CeeDee Lamb for me is a guy that has a wide range of outcomes. Could take that next step. Could end up being exactly what we've seen from him so far. Cam Akers in the second round is ludicrous to me. Didn't show anything in the playoffs, was not 100% in the playoffs, could be 100% right now. Not enough for me to invest him in the second round coming off an Achilles injury. Aaron Jones at 23. Glad to see that people are still on board with Aaron Jones. This is a guy that when Devontae Adams has not been on the field in the past, he is absolutely smashed. A.J. Brown at 24. I mean, the question is, can Jalen Hurts be the guy? Can Jalen Hurts take a step forward as a pass catcher? Or as a passer? If he needs to, then A.J. Brown is going to be just fine. If Jalen Hurts does not take a step forward, we're going to be frustrated with A.J. Brown, especially with a second-round ADP. Saquon Barkley, oh, have the mighty fallen. Saquon Barkley, a former top overall first-round pick, all the way down to the beginning of the third round now. For me, if you get Barkley in the third round, I think that's worth the risk. I think that's worth the risk right there. I don't think he's going to end up falling that far when Real League ADP starts coming out, but I definitely think he's a guy that you're going to get in the second round this year. And that could be a great start. Again, maybe you lock yourself in with a Najee Harris in the first round, a guy with safe volume. Get yourself a wide receiver in the second round, and then the third round, you get a guy like Saquon Barkley that has a little bit more upside. Leonard Fournette, we know he gets the volume. He's going to get the volume this year. Expect to see another big season out of Leonard Fournette. Antonio Gibson, I'm surprised people are taking him in the third round, but when I think we get to Real League ADP, I think Antonio Gibson could end up falling. Unfortunately, there's just not enough upside knowing that Ron Rivera isn't willing to hand over the keys to the backfield to him. Keenan Allen at number 28. Keenan Allen, again, safe bet at wide receiver. We know he's one of the best route runners in the league. We know Justin Herbert will get him the ball on a consistent basis. Might not have as much upside as Mike Williams, but Keenan Allen is going to be very, very safe like he is every year. Jalen Waddle at 29. Could end up seeing a drop in overall volume this year, but could end up seeing a big spike in efficiency, and that is what we want. T. Higgins at number 30. He is a guy that's going to have some wide receiver 1 weeks. He's a guy that's going to have some wide receiver 4 weeks. T. Higgins, again, is going to be volatile just like Jamar Chase, but drafting him all the way back here, I don't see an issue with that whatsoever. Deontay Johnson at number 31. I think he could be a safe bet based on volume, but the upside may not be there for him this year until we start to see a connection form between him and the new quarterbacks. Mike Evans at number 32. I mean, the dude's going to be an absolute beast until Chris Godwin is 100% healthy and ready to go. Mike Evans could be in for a really big season. A lot of people are looking at Russell Gage being a good late round value. I get why people are interested in him, but don't forget Mike Evans will be the guy to get the targets to begin with. Kyle Pitts at number 33. People are expecting those touchdowns to come this year. Had the volume last year, had the yards last year, had the catches last year, did not have the touchdowns. Josh Allen is our first quarterback off the board at number 34. Not surprised to see that. When you got a guy that is a dual threat the way that he is, obviously you're going to be taking a look at him here in the third round. And I don't necessarily disagree with it either. I won't utilize it unless it's like a super flex league. If you play in a super flex league and you were to get Josh Allen in the third round, great. It probably won't. He'll probably end up going before that. But as a one quarterback league, I'm probably waiting for some value elsewhere. Josh Jacobs at number 35. Josh Jacobs is a guy that I'm starting to warm up a little bit more to. I really hope he's utilized better this year because if he is, could be a good year for him. DK Metcalf at number 36. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Metcalf. It's going to be tough for Lockett. Drew Lock or Geno Smith, whoever ends up starting, has some big shoes to fill, and I don't know if they're necessarily going to be able to provide DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett with what they need to perform numbers in the past. Heading on into the fourth round now, David Montgomery, top of the fourth. David Montgomery, I'm not him and Breece Hall here, both at the top of the fourth. I'm not loving either of these guys this season. David Montgomery, he's going to have some more information coming up in some videos very soon. Breece Hall, for me, Michael Carter was good last year. He was good last year. He wasn't great. He was good. I can't see Breece Hall just getting the entire backfield to himself. I do think this is probably a 60-40 split to start. Obviously, if Carter goes down, Hall could end up having a pretty big season for the Jets. But if not, I definitely think you're going to find yourself in a place where some weeks you're just like, oh, man, Hall was a lackluster performance. Is your RB1 or 2? Probably not on board. If you get him as your RB3, I'm probably okay with it there. But Breece Hall, for me, definitely has some upside, but it's going to take Michael Carter getting hurt for that to happen. Patrick Mahomes at number 39, dropping back to the 4th round, may end up being his lowest ADP we've seen in quite some time. James Conner at number 40. To see Breece Hall and David Montgomery going over James Conner, kind of ridiculous to me. James Conner's situation has only gotten better, not worse. So to get him in the 4th round after these other guys, that's a smash draft pick right there. Ezekiel Elliott, number 41, a guy, again, a top draft pick over the last few years. All of a sudden, he finds himself all the way down here in the 4th round. Just imagine getting Ezekiel Elliott as your running back 3. Holy cow, you are setting yourself up for some success. Just think Najee Harris in the 1st round. And then in the 3rd round, 2nd round, we'll go wide receiver. And then in the 3rd round, you go some upside with Saquon Barkley. And then in the 4th round, you get a little bit safe again with Ezekiel Elliott. Just imagine how that team could end up looking. Whew, love it. Justin Herbert at number 42. Going to be a big season for him and the Chargers out there. J.K. Dobbins coming back from that ACL. Not 100% ready to go yet, but people are drafting him in the 4th because they love the potential upside. Terry McLaurin has got himself a little bit better of a situation at quarterback with Carson Wentz this year. Hopefully that helps with some consistency. George Kittle at number 45. If he stays healthy, he's one of the best tight ends, one of the best big play tight ends in all of football. And if Trey Lance is his quarterback this season, lock me in, baby. Elijah Mitchell, his teammate right behind him. I don't mind Elijah Mitchell here in the 4th round. I kind of hope he falls to the 5th in drafts. I kind of hope he starts to fall to the 5th in drafts. I don't think that will happen, but again, as your RB3 here, absolutely love it. DJ Moore in the 4th round, I think, is going to end up being a steal for some people as their wide receiver 2 this season. Darren Waller, he has started to fall a little bit with the addition to Devontae Adams. I'm kind of out on Waller this year, and if you remember a couple of years ago, Waller was my breakout candidate and ended up nailing that pick. I've definitely been on Darren Waller for quite some time now, but unfortunately this year things have changed, and he is not going to end up having the volume that we have seen in years past. Chris Godwin is going to start off the 5th round for us. People wanting to invest in him regardless of his injury status right now. But a 5th round value for Chris Godwin, not bad considering he was a wide receiver 1 candidate a short time ago. Michael Pittman at number 50. He's got Matt Ryan this year, but can he be the alpha? Can he be the guy? He's not going to have a ton of help outside of Jonathan Taylor. He's going to have to be able to win some double teams. He's going to be able to have to win in coverage. We're going to see what Michael Pittman is made of this year. Travis Etienne at 51. He's back at training camp. He's healthy. People say he looks good. He can end up being a steal for people this year, knowing that James Robinson is not going to be himself for a while. Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 52. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't hate him by any means. I just don't love people investing a whole lot in him. Just because Jameson Williams could end up being back at some point. We don't know for sure yet. TJ Hawkinson, as of right now, is healthy. You still have DeAndre Swift. You've brought in DJ Chark. You have Josh Reynolds from last year. So you have guys that can make plays there. Until Jameson Williams is fully healthy, I expect Amon-Ra St. Brown to still perform well. But until I know a time frame on Williams, it's hard for me to invest in Amon-Ra here this season. Amari Cooper at 53. The dude would probably be at least a 3rd round pick if we knew what was going to happen with Deshaun Watson. Keep a close eye on that. Obviously, I know you'll know when something comes out. So, keeping a close eye on it, obviously you'll know what situation's happening right away. But with Amari Cooper, when we know what happens with Deshaun Watson, we can accurately rank Amari Cooper. Lamar Jackson down here at 54. Kind of a steal in the 5th round. Not going to lie. This is a guy that a lot of people wanted to take in the 2nd and 3rd round just a year ago. So to get him in the 5th round this year, I think that's a steal, especially if you're taking him. If you got 2 running backs and you got 2 wide receivers and you're feeling like, hey, I want my quarterback now, you take Lamar Jackson in the 5th. Don't think I'd hate that too much. Marquise Brown in the 5th is a little spicy for me just because, yes, he could have a great start to the season, but once DeAndre Hopkins is back, that's really going to mess with a whole lot of things. Mike Williams at number 56. This is a great area for him to be drafted if we know he's going to be utilized the way he was to begin 2021 and not in 2021. So for me and Mike Williams, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to get from him in the play calling this year. If they let him run the entire route tree, then yes, the upside is there, and he's a smash here in the 5th round. If they don't, he's a guy that's probably more of a 6th or 7th round value. Elijah Moore, people are counting him to be the wide receiver 1 there in New York this year, but when you bring in a guy like Garrett Wilson, try to help out the tight end position and draft Breece Hall, could end up causing some issues in terms of consistency. Hunter Renfrow, number 58, Hunter Renfrow. He would probably be going in the 4th round right now if it were not for Devontae Adams, but people are in on Hunter Renfrow still. I think a lot of people feel like he's going to be the number 2 kind of over Darren Waller, so I don't mind the Hunter Renfrow pick here. A.J. Dillon in the 5th round, it's starting to climb, and I don't hate it because I think A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones can both be together just fine and put up fantasy numbers for you. Damian Harris at number 60 is going to round out the 5th round. Again, a guy that's going towards the end of the 5th. Him and A.J. Dillon, both guys, if you get him as your RB3, could end up being fantastic draft day values that you would love to grab that late in your draft. So there you have it, just a whole breakdown of where the current ADPs look like and a little bit of dialogue from me on every single one of them. So let me know down in the comments below someone you agree with, someone you disagree with, whether you think it's going to rise, whether you think it's going to fall, some things that you could see change with the ADP. Kind of give me a little bit of your analysis. I don't want you to talk about my analysis. I want your analysis, okay? Give me some thoughts on where you think guys are going to end up landing. I want to see some concrete stuff down in the comments. Really think about it before commenting. Make sure you hit that like button for me as well before you get out of here. And of course, if you're new here to the Fantasy Headliners, you got to subscribe for me and become a part of Headliner Nation today. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get out of here. All of you stay safe and healthy. And I'll catch you all in the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on 3rd down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation. I'm a headliner.